So how many of you, and there's a lot of you, last time I did this, I came, Amy asked me to come, it was about 5 or 6 years ago, and we were in a very small room with maybe, I don't know, I thought it was 40 or 50 people. This is a different scene. I'm happy to be here, but I have a question. How many of you have no idea what you want to do after you graduate? Raise your hands. No idea. Just a few. So everybody in this room either knows what they want to do or you're just asleep. So of those, okay, raise them up again. No, really no idea what you want to do. Okay. Of those who raised your hand, do you at least have an idea and you have some experience and you're interested in something that you feel like will lead you down a career path once you graduate? Are we confident in that? That's where I was when I was at Jacksonville. Coming in as a freshman, you know, I really didn't have a good idea of what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be in the medical field, a practitioner. I knew I was interested in medicine, but I had the skills that would be necessary to have a great career in business and sales. But I really had no idea. Regardless, so those of you who didn't raise your hand, you think, yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to do. It's going to change. It's going to change a lot, multiple times. Maybe one or two of you will end up finishing the career which you start out as. The good news is it's okay. Expect that. I encourage you to expect that your career will develop and change. So that's going to happen. So embrace it. So Amy asked me, you know, I asked her some questions about, you know, what are we trying to accomplish here? She let me know you guys are really trying to figure that out. So hopefully I can share some things today that may guide you. You may remember afterwards, and may can help you figure out, you know, steps that you want to take for a career. Amy mentioned she and I were in a master's program together here. The reason why we were in an undergrad is because I left after undergrad for 3 or 4 years and then came back. Amy, I think, went straight through. My GPA in my master's degree was much better than my undergrad degree. So Amy is going to help walk me through or guide me, you know, to help you guys with questions and stuff. If you have questions, please ask them. This will be much better. And in fact, has anyone ever seen a video of the guy in a classroom? I think it's a classroom setting, and he gets his wallet out and he takes out some money like this, and he asks, you know, who wants this money? Have you ever seen that? Who wants the money? So how do you get the money? You know, I've seen this. How do you get this? You might want it. All right, well, I guess anybody wants it. I want it. So that's how you get things. Here's a catch though. Turn that over. What is that? So good news is there's money to be given today. So pay attention. I love your enthusiasm. All right, so everybody raised their hands, but nobody did anything. One thing that you're going to learn is that without action, all these goals, all these ideas, all these things on your to-do list, they're never going to happen, right? Without the action. So step number 1, just take action. All right. One thing that, and Amy, so Amy sent me this. Where is it? Right here. Amy sent me this to kind of help me with some ideas I want to talk about. So how did I go to JSU? How did I choose JSU? Did anybody here get some kind of scholarship money, some, academic scholarship, leadership scholarship? Lots of those. Yeah, that's awesome. So I was one of you. I received a leadership scholarship, and I was telling someone earlier, I don't even know how that happened. I don't even remember. I was very involved in high school. I had good grades, but not good enough ACT scores to get an academic scholarship. So that's why I arrived at JSU. I had applied to many different universities, and I came here because I followed the money. But JSU is, I wouldn't, if I were to go back, I wouldn't change it. We have an amazing opportunity here. JSU is an amazing school. I hope that you guys know this and you'll take advantage of that opportunity. What led me to majoring in marketing? So I think it was genetically, I was bred for business and sales. My father owned a heavy equipment dealership, sold tractors and stuff. His dad owned a business. His dad owned a business and was a judge, probate judge in our county. My mother owned a Napa auto parts store. So growing up, I worked my butt off. I picked rocks up. I weeded around the business. I swept floors from an early age. And I guess I had a great opportunity to understand or be around different businesses. And I remember this 20 years ago when I graduated here with my undergrad degree. I felt like for me, and I'm going to be transparent, that I didn't want to go into management because I felt like I understood it enough and had the skills that would be necessary to be successful in that. So I wanted to learn something else that I didn't know a lot about, and marketing fit that role for me. I was very interested in marketing and developing products and selling those products. And so that's what I was interested in. So that's when I chose to be a marketing major. What came naturally in marketing? So again, I've always been able to talk to people. I was very creative in school growing up. I loved to create things. And selling came very naturally. I was never afraid to ask for something and go get it. So I think, I put marketing and sales in the same category, and you guys will have a sales class, I'm sure. Maybe I took a lot away from that here at Jacksonville. And I felt very comfortable. What was challenging, that's really hard to say. I'll take myself back to a professor that we had here, Jeff Parker. She already knew who I was talking about. So this dude was brutal. He would kick you out of class if you missed a number on a presentation. I know that because he kicked me out of his class because I had a percentage and the percentage didn't add up to the number. That was the percentage of the total in a pie chart. Kicked me out of class. Said, "Don't come back till it's fixed." I had to go to the library and print off. We had, I think, maybe 20 or 30 people in a class. Print off 20 or 30 new presentations to fix the error. Spent all my money because at the time the library, you had to pay for every page, and I wanted to get this thing done today. So so that class was challenging. I had a lot of classes that were challenging, but the most challenging, there's no doubt that the most challenging classes are the ones that I learned the most in. So be thankful for those. Student life. So I was involved in as many things as I could be involved at Jacksonville. And I would, if you take away anything, and I'm going to share, I'm going to highlight the things that I want you to take away. And here's one of them. If you take away anything today, it's to get involved with as many things as possible here at JSU as you can right now today, if you're not already. I was involved with the freshman forum as a freshman, student senate. I was involved with the yeah. So back then it was called peer counselors. Now it's called Go Leaders. I was a Go Leader, peer counselor. I was the SGA Director of Publicity, which is one of the executive members of the SGA. I guess you guys still have concerts and stuff here, so I was responsible for doing all that here at Jacksonville as a student. We had a national leadership fraternity, Omicron, Delta, Kappa, I think, and that's something I was involved in as the president. I don't know if we still have that. The student government body actually voted me as Mr. Jack State. I don't know if you remember. I have no idea how that happened, but it's not something you run for. But it was only because I was involved in so many different things. You will be blessed if you become involved. So so write that down and figure out what it's going to be and get involved with that.
And I'll kind of piggyback on that.
Yeah.
So getting involved, it's going to expand your network, which is undoubtedly helpful. And then Mr. Snead was very wise, right? He's choosing positions in organizations that align with his academic path in marketing and his intended career path in that field somewhere. So work smart, all right? Work smart, work hard. It's going to help you graduate. Stay involved, Brian. It helps you graduate on time, helps you have a higher GPA. Again, networking, it's going to help your resume. It's the best advice. So yes.
There's dual enrollment, I think, is pretty popular these days. Who did dual enrollment in high school? Lots of smarties in here. So I did the same, and I graduated in 3 years instead of 4. Saved me a lot of money. I was just looking last night on the website. 1 year, when you factor in fees and room and board, and I don't know if meals are involved in that. When you involve everything, it's like $30-something thousand a year, which is insane. So, but being a Go leader, it paid for my tuition. I don't know. A lot of people don't know that. I don't think I knew that. With the leadership scholarship that I received, it paid for my first year. I think I was in and out of this place with $15,000. So that was a blessing. So get involved. Please do that. And here's another thing I want you to write down. Be intentional. If I were to go back, I think the last slide said, what would you tell your college self to do anything differently? Many of you are coming to this class today because your piece of paper says you have to 3 times a week. And you're coming in because you have to. You're used to high school where you have to go to class. You've got a teacher telling you what to do. You can't be in the hall, no hall classes, all this kind of stuff. Now you're on your own. So why did you come into the class today? Because you had to, because you wanted to learn something and take away and apply. So that's one thing. Be intentional about everything you do. If not, what was the point in doing it? So career aspiration, as you near graduation, did you know the direction? Yeah, no, I had no idea. So I'll tell you a story. Talking about how your life is going to change, your direction, your path is going to change. When I was a senior here at Jacksonville, I had plans to go straight through to grad school, but I was going to do it abroad. That was my plan. That's what I was going to do. And I was sitting, it was April the 13th. 2005, and I didn't graduate to that December of that year. And I was sitting in the subway, it's still here down the road, eating lunch, and my father passed away. So that changed everything. I mentioned he had this business, and so, I didn't have a care in the world. I'm a young, no responsibilities. And now we have this business that I didn't have a choice but to run. I have a twin brother and I have an aunt. And other than that, that's us. That's it. So I go back to center and I'm working at a tractor dealer, selling tractors, working on equipment, and managing employees that are 2 and 3 times my age. And it was a big growing up moment for me. So studying abroad didn't happen. I changed courses and ran the business for 3 years. I think our annual revenue was right around 4 million a year, which is not that much when you from a revenue perspective. Depends on the margin, and margins are pretty slim. I had no idea what I was doing, but I learned a lot, and that's what helped shape me today. So these obstacles that you overcome, and you're going to overcome them, count them as a blessing, because there will be positives that come from them, only if you're looking for them. So yeah, I had no idea. I just knew that I wanted to continue my studies. And I've always had an interest in healthcare. So I'm not going to talk about the tractor dealership, but I'm going to talk about after I sold that, I went into healthcare working for a skilled nursing facility, assisted living facility. It's a big complex as their marketing person, a marketing and admissions person. And then I went and came back to Jacksonville and got my master's degree. And I knew this company that I felt like, and I knew people who worked for this company. This company was the best home health and hospice company that existed, and I wanted to be a part of it. They had no positions for me. Actually, I applied for a position in Gadsden, and I didn't get chosen. And I was pretty upset about that. But I wanted to be a part of this organization. There's an opportunity in Huntsville, Alabama. And many of you are going to, just like the very first thing I asked, who wanted the money, and a bunch of people raise their hand, you didn't do anything, right? So you're going to have positions that you apply for, roles that you want that you apply for, but there's going to be 1,000 other people apply for those roles. So what are you going to do differently to get it? Do you even want it? Or do you just want to not starve? What is it that you want? So not only did I apply for this role, I'm thinking to myself, who is the decision maker? Who's going to be making the decision to hire this individual? I didn't exactly know who that was, but I knew how to find that person. I drove to Huntsville. I Googled the address. Yes, we had Google 20 years ago. I Googled the address and I drove to Huntsville and I met with the director of the local agency. And it was if you've ever heard of a cold call interview, that's basically what it was. I met with her. I said, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking to do. This is how I can help you. And she loved me. She called the hiring manager, and that's how I got the job. So, and it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have driven to Huntsville and figured out how to make it happen. I became a salesperson for Amedisys Hospice. Then I'll transition to Amedisys Home Health in Fort Payne. Then I became an area sales manager within 2 years of that initial hire with the company. And I've been in my role for 12 years now. And I've managed teams all over the state. But the transition, I remember sitting in my car at a physician's office. I think this specialty was a neurologist. It was a neurologist's office, and I had no idea what a neurologist did. I'm getting paid to sell this service. I have no idea what it is. And so I called a friend, a county transitions coordinator, a clinical person that I knew that worked with me up here. I said, hey, what does a neurologist do? And what is it that we do that they value, that could help them? And so she told me, and I went in. I didn't go in selling service. Has anybody had a sales class? Do we do that this early? 100. One thing that you'll learn in sales is that you shouldn't try to sell anything before you learn what that individual's needs are. So I walked into this neurology office and I just asked questions. Hey, what are you challenged with? What types of patients are difficult to manage? What patients do you manage that you feel like home health could benefit? So I'm just learning. I don't have to know anything to ask questions. And I didn't know anything. But I learned what their needs were. And I learned how we could potentially help them. I took that back with me, went back to the drawing board, and then learned what services we offered that could benefit them. And that's how I started. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to know everything, but you do have to know how to ask the right questions so that you can learn. So keep that in mind. I don't know about that one. So I mentioned how I progressed. I didn't really mention how. So I think, back to the getting the job in the first place, those of you who are going to be assertive enough to get what you want, go after it, you're going to be successful. If you don't have that drive, naturally, some of us don't, we're not all driven the same way, but that doesn't mean you can't be. Has anybody ever heard of, she's a psychologist, her name is Carol Dweck. Anybody ever heard of her? So write her name down and you'll find a video on YouTube. Write down Carol Dweck growth mindset. Has anybody ever heard of the term growth mindset? Okay, you tell me, what do you know about that? What does that mean? So she mentioned over time, growth mindset is how you feel, how you identify obstacles and how you perceive them and how you turn them into opportunities. So that is a growth mindset. So it's taking what you learn and adapting your skills and continuing to grow and develop. And the idea that you can change. Some people say, well, I'm someone who is not very social. Like I like to keep to myself. Like that's just naturally how I am. So I'm not gonna put myself in a situation to where I'm gonna have to be. But that growth mindset idea, the way to think is that I can learn how to be different. And you can apply that to anything. So that mindset is what got me to where I am today. You're going to face challenges and adversities, and the way you respond to those is going to be the difference between success and failure. So look that up. There's a guy, I think his name's Eduardo. It's a TED Talk, and he talks about growth mindset. It's really good. I would highly encourage you to look that up. So another thing, let's say skills, habits, decisions that I think being resilient, overcoming rejection. Some of us are afraid of rejection. Like we don't want to sell something or put ourselves out there because we're afraid of rejection. If I was afraid of, so I anticipate it every single day. I work with my team, so I coach and develop um, sales reps, and we anticipate rejection on every single sales call. And we already have an idea of how we're going to overcome that rejection before we ever walk into it. So anticipate the rejection, expect the rejection to happen, and you'll be more successful. You'll be able to overcome that a lot easier. So that's a skill that I would highly suggest that you think about developing.
From my client, it really hit on that same thing. And I know as a wannabe perfectionist, I'm not, but I want to be. Failure, rejection, it's really hard. And that goes into play, you just mentioned the growth mindset, not being afraid to fail, not being afraid of rejection. I think that's something we don't talk about enough, being honest, with our students, and just, it's life, right? We're gonna mess up, we're gonna fail, people are gonna say no to us. So that's really big. And that goes on something our county, guest speaker, she was fired or terminated, let go because of, layoffs and downsizing. And it's life, so this happens, and how do we deal with that personally and professionally? I think it's a huge topic. So I'm glad you kind of reiterated that for us.
Yeah. Yeah, the good news is, the individual that was terminated, we're all gonna have those things happen. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't happen. Most of the time, I'm willing to bet that most of the time when you change paths or direction, it's for the better. You'll find that, you'll learn that. So, again, back to that mindset, take it as an opportunity to grow and learn. Amy, I don't really remember why I wanted to pursue my MBA. I've always wanted to grow and learn and develop. I'm never not learning. And I will say that a couple of things and how it's influenced my career, a better understanding of financial statements and how how to utilize those to improve your business is something that I took away. The sales skills that I developed as a part of our classes here is something. I know we don't have sales per se, and I'm thinking of at school. We have a lot of things that, from a strategy perspective, that can help you grow your business, whether you're starting your own business or you are working for someone else. But another thing is, credibility. I think employers are going to see you as more credible if you've not only invested the time and the money into pursuing that higher education, but we're successful in completing it too. I think it can add to your credibility, and it has to mine. So this is hard to answer because every day is different. Today I'm sitting here talking to you, but I would say I would break that down into three things. So for me, I have 24 employees working under me. 20 of those are sales reps, and I'm focused on three things. Number one is high profile account development. So speaking with and presenting to C-suite departments at major, so executive members, the CEO, the CFO, the chief nursing officer, these individuals that drive the direction of the organization, any organization. They're the ones making the decisions, presenting to those individuals in hospitals and larger healthcare organizations. That's something that I've spent a lot of time doing to help us from a strategy perspective, help us connect with not only entities that refer patients to us, but also complementary healthcare organizations that we partner with to bring more value to our customers. Another component of my time is spent on hiring developing and coaching employees. I spend a lot of time on that. And that's probably the most difficult part of my job. Because, we have employees who get promoted. I have employees who, leave the organization that takes other opportunities. And then you also have that issue of hiring people that are not fit for the role. So when I hire someone who just isn't fit for the role, there's two options. Where you think about this, you think about, is it a will issue or is it a skill issue? Do they have the will to do what we need to do to be successful? And do they have the skill to be able to perform that? Sometimes I have people with the will and they don't have the skill. So we try to find them a different role that better fits their skill set. Sometimes they have the skill, but they're lazy. They don't have the work ethic. And sometimes we help those people go somewhere else. So I spent a lot of time doing that. And then also working with my peers, VPs of other departments, other department heads to help improve, and I hold them accountable to ensuring that our service is what it needs to be successful in the role. If I have a bad service or a bad product, I not only do I not want to sell it, I can't sell it, So that's another thing that you need to take away. Write this down. Not every organization is going to be one that you want to be a part of. That's why I worked 2 hours away from home for over a year because I wanted to be with an organization that was the best. And some of you are going to find yourselves, and we've got to start somewhere, and that's okay. But when you have that opportunity to say, no, I want to work with this organization because they're better, I can be more successful here, take that opportunity and feel confident in that decision.
You mentioned for a while you made sacrifices, right? Driving 2 hours away. How, this has been a common question from students. What is your life like now? Are you in the office? Do you work from home? Are you commuting?
A great question. Since COVID, COVID changed a lot of things, a lot for the better, really. And since COVID, my role after COVID changed a little bit because I was at home in my home office a lot more often. And now my responsibilities, you got to think about the way that the organization, it didn't happen on purpose, but it happened. You have a lot of these people in the organization who work from home. And so working from home, you can become a lot more efficient with what you're doing, and which means you come up with other things to do. And so what I have found myself is, my responsibilities are greater now than they were pre-COVID because I could complete them, I could accomplish them working from home. So I'm having to balance spending time in the field with reps, coaching and developing them and working and meeting with C-suite execs to trying to get all this paperwork crap completed that, obviously I'm not real excited about. So you have to balance those. So yes, I spend time at my home. I spend time in my locations all around North Alabama and out in the market with reps and with customers. And that's, it's a hard thing to juggle. What questions? I don't want to just sit up here and talk. What questions?
So you talked that after college you asked this.
Great question. Did I do any internships? So back to the getting involved thing. Actually, one of the professors here helped me get connected with an internship that I completed while I was here in college. I also had part-time jobs that I worked. Back to, and I'm going to go back to talking about, when I mentioned not every organization, you don't want to be don't think that you just need a job. Find jobs in the organizations that's going to help you get somewhere. When I was here at Jacksonville, I needed some money. I didn't want to work at just some place that I was gonna punch a clock and get paid. I wanted to learn something. I actually applied to, and he's still in town. Dr. Terry Bonds is an optometrist here in town. I don't know anything about optometry, but I knew I wanted to learn, about his business. And so I applied and he hired me. And I set up new equipment. I actually worked patients in, asked them a bunch of questions, did the little eye test on them. Everybody thought I was the youngest doctor in America. They're like, you look like you're 12 and you're so young, because I had this lab coat on. But obviously I wasn't the doctor, but I was so confident in what I was doing and I was passionate about it. They thought that I was the guy in charge, but I learned a lot from him. Took away a lot. And one thing I've never forgotten, and I've applied this in my life to this day, he gave me a raise one time. I didn't ask for it. I didn't even know that was possible. He said, and he gave me a raise. Said, Brian, you're getting a raise. And I said, why? He said, well, because you're doing a great job and you're on time and all these reasons. And he said, and it's because you deserve it. He said, because you've earned it. And so I've taken that back. And retaining top talent is really difficult right now. But the way I'm able to do that is because I give them what they deserve and what they earn before they ask it. And it's because of my experience with Terry Bond. So that's a great example about putting yourself in the right place that you can learn and grow. It's more about the people that you're working under and learning from than it is the role.
And I'm gonna piggyback on something he said. He mentioned being on time, so class. Being on time is important. It doesn't mean you stand in line at Starbucks, waiting for 10 minutes for a coffee or beverage or croissant. Be on time. That means for class too, especially when we have guest speakers. Okay? Mr. Walker, Ms. Ward, can you get back to that? Sorry.
So if you're not on time, and you work for me, you're not gonna work with me very long. Because we have a very high expectation. And that's why we're the best in the country. Right now, we have 50, in my company, we're the largest home health and hospice company in the nation. We have 56 areas or regions, if you will. I have one of those. And I'm sitting at number 3 out of 56 this morning in terms of our percent to our budget. And that's because we work our butt off. One other question.
After your dad died, and you had to take over and just the hardest.
So after my father passed away and I took over our business, what is the hardest thing I experienced? I think it was feeling inadequate. Because I didn't know anything about this. I grew up in it, but how to run it was a different story. So what I did was I reached out to people who I felt didn't know, other business owners that I knew, consultants, and we had those people. We brought those in, and we developed a plan on like, what do we need to accomplish here, and we actually had an opportunity to improve a lot of things because we were looking at it from a different perspective. So nobody in this room, well, in fact, nobody that's successful has ever done it without the help of somebody else. So don't be afraid to ask for help and seek help from those who have good enough advice to give it. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions while we're on a roll for questions? All right, so how do we develop a growth mindset? Who has an obstacle? When's the last time someone complained about something? Give me something. Give me an obstacle that you faced. It could be trivial. It doesn't matter. Getting out of bed this morning. Who was that? Your hair kind of looks like it a little bit. No. So getting out of bed this morning is an obstacle, right? So tell me, and that's a great. So tell me, what is it about getting out of bed that is so difficult? Why? Tell me that those who you know, those people who you know who are very, um, um, who are always first, these people who sit in the first of the front of the row, you guys have probably got the best grades. Those people who are the most successful, what is it about them that they do well? How is it that getting out of bed improves? What does that help me with? How does that help me become successful sleeping in? Um, I can't think of, I can't think of anything that it would improve my situation. Um, but the opposite of that would be getting up early, right? Why would I want to get up early? Do I want to go work out and improve my physical health? Do I want to spend some time reading the Bible, improving my spiritual health? Do I want to, well, my employees are going to get up early and they're going to review their plan for the day. They're going to think about the obstacles that they're going to face and how to overcome them. They're going to come up with what we call with pre-call plans, strategies for every single call. And they're going to do that in the morning. This morning, I have a call at 8 o'clock every morning with my team. I always get up start working on that at 7 every morning, or every Monday morning. So I work on that call at 7 for an hour to plan not only my day, but strategies for my team. So when I think about obstacles, I think about the account or the physician who says, and again, our goal is to expand the utilization of home health. Across the company, 91% of Medicare enrollees do not receive home health. Think about that. These are people over the age of 65 who have many different chronic conditions, and they're not going to receive home health. And it's because of the underutilization. They don't know that they can get it. The physicians don't utilize it. They're uneducated. But you have a physician who says, I don't use home health. But to me, and I'm giving an example by growth mindset. To me, that is an amazing opportunity because I know that I don't, number one, have to compete with somebody else who's getting their referrals. All I have to do is identify some value that I can bring to a patient of his. So I love it when a physician says, I don't refer. I don't utilize that service because it's a great opportunity. So finding the opportunities and the perceived obstacle is a growth mindset. When I have a rep who says, I am not really good at figuring out how to ask the right questions, my advice to them is identify a peer who's really good at it and role play and learn from it. So great question. Thank you. And you had one. Versus hospice. So I worked in Huntsville with our hospice division, and I was pretty successful. However, I found myself working under a director that I felt like wasn't a great director. And obviously, I messaged my concerns. I voiced my opinion on some things that we could do differently from a service perspective to have a better service, basically, because I'm selling a service. And that director didn't want to change. So I told him I'm leaving. And because I can't be successful here. And so my boss at the time identified an opportunity for me in our home health division in a different location, and that's when I moved. So, I had this feeling, right? I said, I'm working my butt off. I don't feel like I can be successful because of these reasons. I voiced that. So I said, look, I need you to fix this. And they failed to fix it. So I said, I'm leaving. So that's why. Question. Any other questions? Okay.
Could you say business etiquette is people or less that's going on or more relationships go?
So she asked, about business etiquette, what is needed, what are we looking for, what do you need to be thinking about to be successful in terms of business etiquette? And when I hire someone, there's a few things that I look for. I look for work ethic. This is what the thing in an interview. Ethic, likability. I don't want to work with someone that I don't want to spend time with on the weekend. I have to spend a lot of time at work. I want to work with people that I like. So likability. I look for the growth mindset. I interviewed someone last Monday, a week ago, and I'll tell you about her in a minute. I look for confidence. In the role that I'm hiring for, you have to be confident. Whether or not you're faking it till you make it, because we all do that. I did it. You still have to be confident in what your abilities are. And I'm looking for grit, passion. Those are the things I'm looking for. By the way, none of those things has anything to do with home health or hospice or whatever. So all of those things are what can be, they require no skill. It's just effort, right? So being smart requires no skill. When I talk about being smart, I'm looking for people that have the ability to solve problems on their own. So I interviewed a girl last Monday, for a position that I have in Silicaga. And this girl, she just graduated from Auburn like a month ago too. And her father is a dentist. She grew up in that business. She wants to be in sales, and healthcare sales in particular. And I said, "You're the youngest person I've ever interviewed." Because she is. I've never interviewed someone that young. She said, "Yeah, I know. I mean, it's hard to get a job when everybody says you don't have any experience." But she was, and I did it over Teams. I didn't do it in person. I can accomplish a lot more if I don't have to drive to them or 4 there and back. But she was super confident. The answers to my questions were extremely well thought out. You could tell she worked for Katie Britt as an intern a couple of summers ago. She works for a company called RX Benefits right now, as an intern, and you can tell she is a grounder. And I love her. And I told her, I said, "I really think you're special. I don't know if I'm gonna hire her. I'm gonna have her spend some time in the field with one of my team members this week." She doesn't know it yet. I'm gonna call her that. But that's what I look for. Any other questions? Selling insurance. Administrator, a licensed assisted living administrator in the state of Alabama, because I wanted the credibility. And now it's really paid off, because when I go and speak with with an assisted living organization, whether it's a very small, one building business or a very large 15, 20 building business, they listen to what I say, because I know what their needs are, because I'm an administrator. So I did that because I felt like it would help me in my career. But no, you don't really have to have any licenses. I've hired people at your level. you know, not in college, but graduating, to do specific things. When I see an individual who I feel like is just has got it all, like this girl I was telling you about last week, you know, I want to take a chance on that person. Um, and, you know, maybe she ends up, working for me and then growing to do greater things, and I want that to happen. I find a lot of pride in helping people be successful. And I've had a lot of people leave my team to lead other teams. A family member of mine, the president, his name's Court Sachs. He founded a company in Birmingham called Fire Seeds. And it's an organization who helps train leaders, and they do all the training for Chick-fil-A, and other major companies across the country. And what, something he says is he wants to multiply leaders. So, you know, back to all of the things that I did here at Jackson State, all the things I got involved in, student senate, SGA and all these things. You know, I was, I guess you could say, considered to be a leader, but I learned from other leaders. And the things that I do well today is because of incredible people that I've worked for, that I've been able to learn from. So multiplying leaders is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And we're on a good slide for that. One thing, I don't know how this applies to this slide, but one thing I want to talk about is there's never been a more exciting time. If I could take what I know today and go back in time 20 years and sit in these seats, I would be more excited than I've ever been because of, I'm gonna say the buzzword, AI. You know, we think about how healthcare is changing and what we expect to happen in the coming years. But it's not just healthcare, it's every industry. But AI is going to take a significant role in healthcare in particular because all the back end office stuff that we have to do, billing, coding, you know, medical records, doing all these things that we pay people to do in the back office. AI is going to help us do that much more efficiently so that we can use those people and those man hours to do other things. I use it, and you guys, y'all, I'm sure you use it way more than I do. You got a lot of time to learn it. But there's never been a more exciting time. Somebody in this room could take this technology. Has anybody ever heard of a freelancer? It's a company that employs people. A lot of them are overseas, and they bid projects. They build websites. They can create AI-based platforms. So I've used Freelancer to hire these people in Pakistan and India and all these places to do projects for me for pennies, that I could then turn around and use as a service for an organization, and I could make millions, you know, just by using that company to find those people. So technology is what allows you to do that. There's never been a more exciting time. And I hope you see the opportunity. All you got to do is want it and apply yourself. It's really exciting. So healthcare is going to change a lot, and every other organization is too. So if you want to be a part of that, you need to be working on it today. So yeah, that speaks on that a little bit. What other questions do we have? So we're coming up on time. Here's what I'll say also. You know, we go back to learning. I would interview as many people within as many people as I can. Interviewing is a difficult skill. Like, it's something that's hard to do. And you're only going to get better at it if you practice. So apply for jobs just for the sake of interview. And after that interview, ask that person who's interviewing, give me feedback. Tell me what I can improve on. Please do that. You're going to be glad you did. Because don't wait till you're at the game. You know, you're starting. Because, you know, if you've not practiced, you're not gonna play very well. But here's what I'll leave you with. Has anybody ever seen the movie Fury? So it's a movie with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf. They're in Germany. It's a tank crew. You guys seen it? It's a guy movie, I would say. I love that movie. So when they are sitting in the tank and their tank track busted and the Germans are coming, they all run and get back in the tank, right? They decided we're going to fight. We're going to stay here because it's important to the war that we stay here and we defend this crossroad. Does anybody remember they were sitting in there, Shia LaBeouf reads or memorizes, he talks about a Bible verse. You might remember that. Does anybody know the verse? Isaiah 6:8. He says, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And he said, then I said, here am I, send me. Remember that part? And then Brad Pitt tells him the verse. That means a lot. I love that verse because nobody is going to do it for you. And we shouldn't wait on other people to stand up and do it. If you're capable, I tell this to my team all the time. If you have the ability, then you have the responsibility. And I, as an employer, are looking for those individuals. So write that down too. Because at the end of the day, at the end of your career, there's going to be a few things that matter the most. It's going to be the people that you've made a positive impact on. It's going to be your family and your faith. And at the end of the day, that's what matters most. So keep those at the forefront of every decision. I brought with me today a very special guest, my 10-year-old son. Porter, come down here. So he's a big shot now because he's sat in a room full of college students. Buddy, what'd you think of this class? Look at all of these people. What do you think about it? So this guy right here is why I do what I do. Going back to your purpose and your why, you got to have them. And your purpose and your why is going to change. So I'm very proud of this guy, more so than anything else that I've accomplished. I told him, I said, keep a watch on people who are engaged and are excited, because I may have a gift for them. So he may have a gift for somebody in this room. Go ahead and give it to him. And I know it's time. Amy, we got to go.
No, you're fine, you're fine. Most of all, I want to say thank you. So class, let's give a big round of applause.
I think I'll be down here for a few minutes after class.
Absolutely, and don't move yet. Porter, do you have something to find out? Okay, go for it. Oh,
So she won $100. I'm sorry, my guy. I'll get you next time.
We'll have a sit. After this, we'll work to get it posted by the end of tonight. It'll be available by Thursday. Thank you again, Mr. Porter. Mr. Porter and Mrs.